back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, I am here today to do part 1 of a 2-part video which is going to be discussing all of the anticipated releases I have from July to December of 2017. I have gone with mostly debuts or starts of a series because they're exciting, but there are a few ones which are like the next one in a series that I'm really excited about, or just books that I think I will enjoy. Let's get started. I've tried to add in a lot more middle grade and YA than I have in previous lists because I'm going to make a concerted effort to read more YA and middle grade because of the BookTube SFF Awards for next year. I really want to get some great things I can recommend to you guys so that you can read them, and then we can go into next year and have a really good, solid middle grade and YA category. Because if you saw the live show that we did fairly recently, which I'll link below, then you'll see that the middle grade category was not great. I would like it to be better next year, so I'm making the effort to look out for debuts and new books by kids lit authors so that I can pick them up, read them, enjoy them, and recommend them to you. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go in publication order, but be aware that all of these publication dates could easily change, and I've got all of the dates off of the UK Amazon site, so it will definitely be different in different countries and whatnot. Let's get going. The first book I have to talk about is actually one that is sneakily kind of from June, but I'm going to add it in because I have been very excited about it, and that is The Court of Broken Knives, which is one I've seen floating around on Twitter so much. It's by Anna Smith Spark and it comes out on June 29th. I've seen a couple people talk about it on Twitter and I like the author on Twitter too. She seems very nice. And I believe it's actually a grimdark fantasy, which is going to be quite exciting because I recently read Godblind, which is a grimdark fantasy by a female author, and this is in the same situation. But I wonder which one I'll like more. In the richest empire the world has ever known, the city of Sawlost has always stood, eternal and unconquered. But in a city of dreams governed by an impostuous emperor, decadence has become the true ruler and has blinded its inhabitants to their vulnerability. The empire is on the verge of invasion, and only one man can see it. Hopefully it'll be a bit of a twist on a normal fantasy by adding in all the grimdark, horrible, torture, nasty things that I have no doubt it will include. The next one I have that comes out in July on the 4th is The Bone Mother by David DEMCHUCK. And this one sounds pretty cool and I really like the cover. 3 neighbouring villages on the Ukrainian-Romanian border are the final refuge for the last mythical creatures of Eastern Europe. Now on the eve of the war that may eradicate their kind, and with the ruthless night police descending upon their sanctuary, they tell their stories and confront their destinies. Eerie and unsettling like the best fairy tales, these incisor-sharp portraits of ghosts, witches, sirens and seers, and the mortals who live at their side in their thrall, will chill your marrow and tear your heart, and I believe it is a debut. I'm really excited about this because it sounds like it's going to be a pretty interesting twist on mythical creatures, which is always something I love as a fantasy reader, and it also sounds as though it's going to be quite a fun read and fairy tale inspired, so definitely one to watch out for, coming out on July 4th. The next one I have is a new fantasy book coming out from IGGULDEN. I never really have known how to say his name, and it's called DARIEN, Empire of Salt. It's the first one in a fantasy series by this author. I believe he's been a historical fiction writer for quite some time, but this is his first fantasy book, and it's an epic fantasy. 12 families, 1 throne. The city of DARIEN stands at the weary end of a golden age. 12 families keep order with the soldiers and artifacts, spies and memories, clinging to a peace that shifts and crumbles. The people of the city endure what they cannot change. Here, amongst old feuds, a plot is hatched to kill the king, of course. It will summon strangers to the city. Elias Post, a hunter, Tellius, an old swordsman banished from his home, Arthur, a boy who cannot speak, and Dor Threefold, a chancer and gambler, Vic Deeds, who feels no guilt, and Nancy, a girl whose talent might be the undoing of them all. As the sun sets, their arrival inside the walls will spark a series of explosive events. Before the sun returns, 6 destinies will have been made and lost in DARIEN. Dun dun dun. I mean, that sounds pretty dramatic to me, and I do like the sound of this writer. I've wanted to read something by him in historical fiction for a while, but I can never convince myself that historical fiction is going to be as fun as a fantasy read, because I'm just like, where's the magic though? So the fact that he's now writing a historical fantasy epic is going to be good, I think. Hopefully. Fingers crossed it'll be good. And that one comes out on July 13th. Another one that's also coming out on July 13th is called Pendragon, and this is by James Wilde. This one has a beautiful cover. I just can't get over how beautiful the cover is. And I saw this one on Mark's channel, which is Toast Dragon Fantasy. I'll put a link to him below. If you're not subscribed, go and check him out. He's fairly new, but I absolutely love his channel. And he recommended this one. And he's had it on one of his anticipated release books. Here is the beginning of a legend. Long before Camelot rose, 100 years before the myth of King Arthur was half formed, at the start of the Red Century, the world was slipping into the Dark Age. It is AD 367. In a frozen forest beyond Hadrian's Wall, 6 scouts of the Roman army are found murdered. For Lucanus, known as the Wolf and leader of the elite unit called the Arcani, this chilling ritual killing is a sign of a greater threat. But to the wolf, the far north is a foreign land, a place where demons and witches and old gods live on. Only when the child of a friend is snatched will he venture alone into this treacherous world, a territory ruled over by a barbarian horde, in order to bring the boy back home. A soldier and a cutthroat, a courtesan and a druid, even Emperor Valentinian himself. Each of them has a part to play in the beginnings of this legend and the rise of House Pendragon. I mean, that sounds really epic. If that was a film, I'd go see it. So if it's a book, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna try anyway. It sounds awesome. I love kind of more ancient history settings for fantasy, because obviously the Middle Ages, medieval time is quite well known and overdone. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. It should be good. The next one on my list comes out on the 25th of July, and that is Age of Swords, Book 2 in the Legends of the First Empire, which is by Michael J. Sullivan. I read the first one a while ago when that came out, and so of course I want to continue on with the series. Michael J. Sullivan is an author who I really enjoy, and I definitely liked the first book in the series, not as much as I liked his Hadrian and Royce one, but I feel like there is so much potential for this series, and I feel like it's going to get better as it goes, because his books usually do, so I'm definitely keeping my eyes open for that one when it comes out. The next one on my list is actually one of the Tor.com novellas, and this comes out on July 25th as well. It is The Five Daughters of the Moon by LEENA LIKITALO, and she is a Finnish author, I believe. I actually read one of her short fiction stories in a Clark's World issue. I think it was 114, and it was called The Governess with the Mechanical Womb. It might be that, I think it's that. And I really enjoyed that story. I distinctly remember that story, which says a lot because I don't often remember short fiction. And as soon as I saw her name, it came back into my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember her, so I definitely want to pick this one up. I believe it's the first one in a novella duology, and again it sort of focuses on an empire on the brink of doom, as always. 5 Daughters of the Moon are the ones to determine the empire's future. Alina, 6, fears Gargaji Pretislav and his great thinking machine. The Gargaji claims that the machine can predict the future, but at a cost that no one seems to want. Miril, 11, cares only for her dogs, but she smells that something is afoul with the Gargaji. By chance, she learns that the machine devours human souls for fuel, and yet no one believes her claim. Sibylla, 15, has fallen in love for the first time in her life. She couldn't care less about the unrest spreading through the countryside or the rumours about the Gargaji and his machine. Elise, 16, follows the captain of her heart to orphanages and workhouses, but she soon realises that the unhappiness amongst her people runs much deeper than anyone could ever have predicted. And Celestia, 22, who will be the Empress one day. Lately she's been drawn to the Gargaji, but which of them will be the first to mention the idea of the coup? Inspired by the 1917 Russian Revolution and the last months of the Romanov sisters, The 5 Daughters of the Moon is a beautifully crafted historical fantasy with elements of technology fueled by evil magic. I mean, yes. I don't even need to say anything else. I mean, yes. The next one I have on my list I've actually been sent a proof copy of, and that is this one, Blackwing by Ed McDonald. I'm going to try and read this before it comes out, fingers crossed, and I think it comes out on the 27th of July, so I've got a bit of time. This one sounds like it's going to be a pretty fun read. It follows a world called the Misery, and we are following a captain called Captain Ryholt, whose job it is to go into the Misery, a very lonely, forsaken place, and hunt down criminals who've escaped. And it sounds like it's going to be a pretty fun read. I've actually read the first few pages of this and really enjoyed the writing style. It's a first-person narrative, and it seems like it's going to be quite catchy and draw you in. So fingers crossed I like it, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to this world once I've finished the book I'm currently reading. The next one on my list is called Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker, and this one comes out on August 3rd. And I've again seen quite a lot of buzz for this one on the Twitter sphere. A lot of people have been talking about it, and I think it follows an assassin who is hunting another assassin. It says, Gerton Clubfoot, apprentice to the land's best assassin, still has much to learn about the art of taking lives. But their latest mission takes him and his master with a far more difficult challenge: to save a life. Someone or many someones is trying to kill the heir to the throne, and it's up to Gerton and his master to uncover the traitor and prevent the prince's murder. In a kingdom on the brink of civil war, as they all are, and a castle thick with lies, again, very, very normal, Gerton finds friends he never expected and responsibilities he never wanted, and a conspiracy that could destroy an entire land. The next book on my list is actually called The List, and this one comes out on August 8th, and it's by Patricia FORDE. I kind of stumbled across this one just by chance, and it sounds awesome. There's actually a quote from an author who I really enjoy, and that's Ian Colfer, who wrote the Artemis Fowl series, and he said the best fantasy book of the year. So, I mean, that's pretty great. It says Fahrenheit 451, which I haven't read, meets The Giver, which I have and loved, for middle grade readers. You are the wordsmith now. Are you ready for the challenge? The city of Ark is the last safe place on Earth. To make sure humans are able to survive, everyone in Ark must speak List, a language of only 500 words. Everyone, that is, except Letter. As an apprentice to the wordsmith, Letter can read all the words that have ever existed. Forbidden words like freedom, music, and even pineapple tell her about a world that she's never known. One day her master disappears, and the leaders of Ark tell Letter she is the new wordsmith and must shorten the list to even fewer words. Then Letter meets a teenage boy who somehow knows all of the words that have been banned. Letter's faced with a dangerous choice: sit idly by and watch the language slowly slip away, or follow a stranger on a path to freedom or banishment. And I mean, that sounds amazing to be a kid's book, so I really hope it pays off in the way that I'm imagining it could be. I'm really excited about this one. I really hope it's good. So August 8th for that. The next one on my list is another one I'm very excited about because it is the third book in a series, and that is The Stone Sky, which is by N.K. Jemisin. This is the third in the Broken Earth series. I don't want to give too much away from the previous two, but I have reviewed both, so you can find them on my channel. And I really enjoyed both. I absolutely love this series. I do think it is an excellent fantasy with so many crossover between science fiction and fantasy, which is great. And I really, really enjoy the direction she's taking it. So I'm hopeful that the third book will kind of wrap everything up in a brilliant way, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Another one that I am hugely excited about and can't really say too much about because it is a sequel is An Echo of Things to Come, which is by James Islington. I read The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington, I think last year? Yeah, must be. And I absolutely loved it. It was such a good read. I audiobooked it, I think, as well as reading it on my Kindle, and I loved it so much. So I'm really, really excited for the new one in the series, and I adore the covers of this series too. It's gonna be good. I just feel like it's gonna be good. He was a really impressive surprise author for me when I read him, and I can't recommend him more highly. Next up is a book that I am slightly sceptical of, but I decided to include it in this list in the hopes that it does everything it says really well, and that is Mask of Shadows, which is by Lindsay Miller. Salot Leon is a thief, and a good one at that, but gender-fluid Sal wants nothing more than to escape the drudgery of life as a highway robber, and get closer to the upper class and the nobles who destroyed their home. When Sal steals a flyer for an audition to become a member of the Left Hand, the Queen's personal assassins, named after the rings she wears, Sal jumps at the chance to infiltrate the court and get revenge. But the audition is a fight to the death with clever circus acrobats, lethal apothecaries, and vicious ex-soldiers. A childhood as a common criminal hardly prepared Sal for these sorts of trials. So yeah, I'm liking the sound of the gender fluidity, I'm liking the sound of the thief in the castle infiltrating the court. I just hope it's done well, so fingers crossed it is. This one comes out August 29th. Also coming out on August 29th is the second one in a series that I recently started and absolutely loved, and that is The Dragon Lords by John Hollins. The second one is called False Idols, and this series is a sword and sorcery that I absolutely love. It made me laugh so much. It very much subverted the tropes of sword and sorcery. It's got dragons who are badass. It's got really funny heists and thieving and a band of loyal but misfitting people all coming together to go on adventures. And I mean, I like that sort of thing so much. It's definitely my cup of tea, and I really enjoyed the first, so I'm hopeful the second one will be just as good, and I can't wait to find out what happens to my lovely band of characters when the story goes on. And the final one I have on my list, I'm not entirely convinced if the date is right or not because there's no cover yet, and that is the final one in the Lightbringer series by Brent. Currently it doesn't even have a title, so I'm not going to talk about it much. I loved the first few in the series and I really enjoyed the fourth one, so I'm looking forward to continuing if it comes out. I'm not hugely optimistic that it will, but it's scheduled according to Amazon to the 31st of August this year. We'll see if that happens. But, my friends, that is all I have time for in this video, otherwise it's going to get incredibly long because I have another load of books to recommend from September onwards. So I'm going to do that in a part 2. Look out for that coming very soon, and please do let me know in the comments if there's any books from July to August that you think I have missed and I would really like. Do let me know. Anything you're really excited for, tell me about it. And thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.